Alrighty, good morning, commissioners. Welcome to the new year, and over to you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss, and welcome everyone to the first meeting of 2025 for the Washington County Housing Authority Board of Directors. Clerk Moss, could you do us the honors, please?
Certainly, Director Harrington. The Washington County Board of Commissioners is now meeting as the Washington County Housing Authority Board of Directors in this regular session, January 7, 2025. Director Roper?
Present.
Director Savara?
Present.
Director Treese?
Here.
Director Willie?
Here.
Director Schneider?
Here.
Director Fye?
Present.
Director Treese?
Here again.
And Director Harrington.
She's still here, and I'm here as well. Yes.
There's 9 of us now, huh?
No.
My
We're
clone.
pulling your leg there, Clerk Moss, don't worry. So, on to the next order of business, and this is the first public comment period for members of our community to come and address the Housing Authority Board of Directors on all matters of housing and homelessness here in our community. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
Thank you, Director Harrington. I did not see one sign up in advance to talk to the Housing Authority. Would any member in the auditorium wish to talk about any item related to housing for up to 2 minutes? Raise hand function or start come forward. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member online wish to provide comment to the Housing Authority for up to 2 minutes? Utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Director Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss, and onward to today's consent agenda, which consists of just one item, the minutes from our December 3rd, 2024 meeting. What are the wishes of the board regarding today's consent agenda? Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 7-0. Next, we have a presentation. I'd like to call up the appropriate staff for a presentation on the Terrace Glen photo exhibit. We were really honored to have the ground opening of this new affordable housing community last year, and it offers housing for a vast array of our community members. And with the work of Metro and Washington County, we have this great photo essay. Please.
Great. Good morning, Chair and directors of the board. Thanks so much for your time and attention to share about this project. We're really excited about it. My name is Bianeth Valdez. I use she, they pronouns. I am the Community Engagement Program Coordinator with Housing Services. Today I'm here with Laura Spidell, who's the Executive Director of Engage Northwest. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have a resident with us today, Jasmine Warner, but she had some travel delays, so we just want to acknowledge her in the space, and we'll get to talk a little bit about her experience. We're here to share about Community Voices photo project hosted by Metro in partnership with Engage Northwest and the county. So residents of Terrace Glen were able to partake in this project, and we'll share a little bit about their experience, but a little kind of set the scene for what the community looks like at Terrace Glen. Okay, so Terrace Glen is a 114-unit Metro bond-funded affordable housing project in Tigard. It consists of 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom units. The project was completed in the spring of 2023. The developer team includes Related Northwest, the property manager, Quantum Residential, C2K as the architect, and Walsh Construction as the general contractor. Partners include, of course, Engage Northwest, Homeplate, and ERCO. So as an intergenerational development for families and seniors, Terrace Glen hosts Engage to provide a variety of on-set enriching resident programs to connect diverse generations. The site is also served by Homeplate Youth Services, which is a youth organization in Washington County, while 3 of the community's homes are designated as permanent supportive housing units for homeless youth, which is a great need in our community. So now to share a little bit about the project. So the project was a collaboration between Metro, Engage, and Washington County. Really, the goal was offering residents an opportunity to explore using their voice through artwork. Over the course of 6 sessions, which happened in this past summer, Residents of Terrace Glen explored the meaning of home using 35mm photography, written reflection, and community discussion. Emily Fitzgerald, who is an artist and professor at Portland State, led the group through photography foundations using curated objects and photos, and participants provided responsive feedback through writing. Of course, I want to give the opportunity to Laura to kind of explain a little bit about the workshop and some major highlights, and if you want to share it, that would be great.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate your time and interest in this project. So with Engage Northwest, we're a nonprofit that changes lives by transforming affordable housing communities into vibrant centers of learning, wellness, and creativity. So we've been doing this work for about 25 years now, starting in California, and have been serving properties in Oregon since 2016, and started serving the Terrace Glen community in 2023 as residents were first moving into the community. So what we do is we bring in classes and workshops and resources that support the residents and help them explore their own strengths and abilities while helping to build and form the community around them. So this was a perfect blend for us to be able to partner with Metro and the county and Emily Fitzgerald to bring this workshop into the residents when it was such a brand new community. So we're really grateful for that, and having them explore that meaning of what home is to them right at this time when it's a brand new community and many of them were coming from difficult paths into housing at Terrace Glen was just such a fitting opportunity. So Emily, she led the residents at Terrace Glen through this 6-week class, and the theme really was, what does home mean to you? And what they did was they took photos using actual film cameras that they got to keep at the end of the class. And they started with black and white photography and then moved into color photography. And they held group discussions and reflections on the photos that they were taking and the reflections that they were learning as they were going through this process together. And they did writing about the images that they took, as well as each other's photographs and images. The class consisted of 9 participants, and they ranged in age from, they included a mom and her 8-year-old son. He was our youngest participant. We also had a high school student. We had Jasmine, who was a mom of young children. We also had 3 elder sisters who lived together. So that was kind of the range of people, as well as some other individuals as well. And several of the participants are first or second generation immigrants from Afghanistan, Puerto Rico, and Mexico. And that really helped, I think, informed some of their thinking about home and what it means to live now at Terrace Glen. The class was much more than just taking pictures. It was discussing things like their childhood homes and their families and how they were raised, and thinking about their experiences growing up and what that meant to them, and now what it means to them to be living at Terrace Glen. They explored the idea of what home means in community with each other, which I think really was impactful. And it led the participants to develop strong bonds and friendships and help them connect more deeply to this new home that they're living in. So we were hoping to have Jasmine Warner, who is one of the participants, here today, and she actually has some older children that live in New York still, so she was visiting them and was flying home yesterday, and her flight got canceled. So she's on a plane now, and it was really regretful that she's not able to be here today, because she was very honored that you were interested in her perspectives and her experience. But I do have some of the writings that she did through the class, so I'd like to share some of her words with you today. So it starts with a quote here. Dreams do come true. If only we wish hard enough, you can have anything in life, you will sacrifice everything else for it. So that's a quote from Peter Pan. She says, this quote perfectly encapsulates my journey of finding a home. Moving across the country with my children was a bold step, driven by the desire for a better, safer life. This change required many sacrifices, leaving behind everything familiar from our home, friends, the only life we knew. The sacrifice was worth it, for here in Oregon, we have found a new beginning, a home where our dream of safety and happiness could flourish. However, it took a year, to truly feel like Oregon was home. This happened gradually as we built a sense of community with our neighbors through getting involved in local activities, taking classes from Engage, helping others, and forming friendships. This journey truly reflects the essence of Peter Pan's words. She says, the photo voice class was difficult to do at first as a transplant from New York and transferring to a new apartment. Only recently have I felt like I could call Oregon home. The class helped me get to know my neighbors and connect with them and made Terrace Glen feel like it was home. The progression of my photos from black and white to color reflects my journey of feeling at home here in Oregon. Initially, the black and white photos hid our identities. So the photo that's up right now is one of her black and white photos. The color photos revealing our identities represent a growing sense of belonging that we found through participating in this class and getting more connected to my community. The most important elements of making my home feel like home is my children, my family. Their laughter bouncing off the walls, mixed with an occasional sibling squabble, an impromptu dance session in the living room, or even the grocery store. Our apartment filled with their drawings, toys, and delightful messy creations. Home is a whirlwind of activities where moments of calm are rare. Amidst the chaos, home is love, warmth, connections, and unfiltered joy. Since I was sharing a few of Jasmine's words, I thought I might share a couple of the other writings from a couple of the sisters that participated. So they had come back to live together at Terrace Glen, which is kind of lovely. So this is from Anna. She says, I feel like home can be anything. The main thing about being at home is love. I have different homes with my parents, the family here with my sisters, and then my family with people that are not related, like friends, just being there and sharing the love that they have. The caring and the kindness that they share just makes me feel like you could have as many homes as you want. I have different homes with my family and other families that are not related to me, so I think that home is where you feel comfortable, warm, and loved. I liked all the different things that Emily showed us about how we could take pictures. You know, it doesn't have to be of just a person. It could be part of a kitchen, the food that you eat, and stuff like that. Even the surroundings around the house. When you go to the store and buy things, it's just looking at different people, looking at different pictures when you go into a room, just noticing things. Emily was kind, considerate, and very opened up because she even showed us pictures of her family. I love taking pictures, but she made me see it in another way. No matter what it looks like to other people, it's what you thought of when you took the picture and your story behind it and what it means to you. And this is her sister Rose talking about an exercise that Emily had them do where they drew pictures of their family and the sort of the journey that they took to come to live at Terrace Glen. We were doing the drawings of our family and how we came to be here at Terrace Glen. When I saw that Dina came from Afghanistan, my eyes got all watery because my son was stationed there and he passed away 2 years ago. But he was there and he wouldn't talk about it because he doesn't want me to know everything. At first with Dina, I thought, I just can't do it. To meet someone from where we were fighting against, and I thought, God, why did you do this? But then I thought, this is such a great thing because this class brought us together. She'll cook something from her country and she'll bring it over and we'll share it. She is so generous, she'll give you the coat off her back. And her son Arvine, he's the 8-year-old who participated, he's a character. He's fun and he enjoyed the class. He'll see me when he's playing with his friends and now he'll stop playing and come over and say, hi, how are you doing? One time we talked about his religion, and he asked me if I knew what religion he was. I said, no, I don't. Why don't you tell me about it? And he told me all the things that they do. I don't know a lot about religions, but for me to talk to him about it and to try to understand, he was just like, wow. It was good to learn about each other. He's a good kid. So I hope that hearing some of their thoughts and reflections on home and the class help you get an understanding. It was really a wonderful experience for them, I think, to come together, get to know each other, and really form some strong bonds in this new community. And I hope you'll stop by and take a look at their photographs that'll be up on display and read some of their writings. It was a very impactful program and a wonderful experience for the residents to really get to know each other.
Thanks, Laura. I'm not crying, you're crying. Thanks for sharing that. So thanks again for hearing the work that we've been doing with Terrace Glen residents. If you want to see Jasmine's work or other residents' work in the upcoming month, we are hosting the exhibit here at the Public Services Building from January 15th to February 14th. So you have a whole month to enjoy the great work of Terrace Glen residents. Please come by, take the board with you, let people know about it. I do want to give a little sneak peek. It's just a small sneak peek. These are some photos of some of the residents that were mentioned that Laura was able to share. Anna Perez, Carmen Anderson, and Carla Morales. So this is just a quick view of what we'll have on display at the Public Services Building. We hope this builds some excitement, and we encourage the community to come visit. So thank you for your time. We're happy to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Directors, do you have any comments or questions?
I just want to say thank you for this. This is, what a phenomenal thing, and this is home for 144 people. So thank you very much for doing what you do. Great.
Thank you for the work that you do in helping that happen. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just like to say that I think that's awesome that you guys got involved with the community. It gives them a sense of just empowerment as well, that they might explore going to school and other things. And it's just impressive. The pictures that you guys shared with us is awesome.
Thank you, Director Roper. Director Snyder?
I think this is a good reminder, particularly about how the arts and other kinds of things can really enrich and be part of life and enhance life instead of, I think some people sometimes get into a mode, and I might even be one of these people, where it's sort of like its own thing. And this is a really good reminder that no, it's actually part of the fabric of life and enriches and enhances it. And I think it's a great example of that and a good reminder.
Director Savaro?
Yeah, thank you so much for engaging in this work. You know, a couple of reflections is just like the fact that this is a collaboration with Metro as well, I think is a really important, maybe a lesson about where Metro can really add value as a partner in this work with the county. You know, I think there's pieces of this that we can kind of take into our homeless services work across the system where they're able to bring value, bring support in kind of helping tell stories, helping to create some of this regional approach for how we think about the work that's happening. So that was just one reflection I had about kind of how Metro collaborated with the county on this. So I really appreciated that. And just the fact that we were able to kind of create this space. I also really appreciate Director Snyder's comments about, like, I think oftentimes with this work, we focus on the services that we're providing in a building, and we get so practical about case management and the types of services that we're thinking of. This is a service that you all were providing to folks in this building that absolutely is going to support their thriving, their flourishing, their support. So just would love for us to see other ways that we can do and incorporate this kind of work into some of the properties that we support, whether through PSH or other types of affordable housing. I think it's a really great opportunity to really bring value and support residents actually flourishing in their new lives in the homes that we're providing. So really appreciate the work you guys are doing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much for highlighting this for us. I'd also hope that, or I will go back to my contacts from the grand opening, as you mentioned, a very warm day in 2023, and try to make sure that our partners at Related Northwest, who helped ensure that there was the financing and the construction of these 144 new homes for over a couple hundred people right in the community of Tigard, able to flourish. And I really want to thank our Washington County team members for helping to ensure that our community members are able to thrive right here in Washington County. So thank you for bringing all of this to life. And we look forward January 15th through February 14th to anyone in our community. Please do feel free to come visit your Washington County Public Services building here in downtown Hillsborough with great transit access to take in this great free art exhibit. Thank you very
It
much.
means a lot to the residents to have it on display, so thank you for giving that space to them. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And next, we're on to our second public comment period of this Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting. Would anyone in the auditorium like to provide any public comment on any related housing item for up to 5 minutes? Just stand up, raise your hand, call my attention. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member online wish to provide public comment to the Housing Authority? And please utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Director Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Next, we move on to announcements from our Board of Directors. And Director Roper, let me see if there's anything you wish to contribute here in our first meeting of this very fine new year?
Nothing except for Happy New Year, everyone. I wish everybody best in 2025 and great things to happen.
Thank you, and thank you for being a constant presence with us here. Director Savaro, I meant to thank you earlier with our prior item, because not only do you add value here on the Housing Authority Board of Directors, your lived experience, your professional career work here in the state of Oregon, but you also serve on the Metro Supportive Housing Services Regional Oversight Committee, and that is a bit of work. So thank you. Thank you. Are there any other director comments or announcements for today? Nope, seeing none then, I would like to call for a motion to adjourn this Housing Authority Board of Directors before we convene as the Washington County Board of Commissioners.
So move.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 7-0. We will see you at the next meeting of the Housing Authority Board of Directors, probably the first Tuesday of February. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Pretty low tech here, hand motions. These guys poke me doing something wrong.
All right, good morning, County Board of Commissioners, and over to you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Welcome, everyone, to our first meeting of this grand new year 2025. Today's Tuesday, January 7th, and this is the Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting. Clerk Moss, could you do us the official honors?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. The Washington County Board of Commissioners, also meeting as the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services and all other county service districts, is meeting this regular session, January 7th, 2025. Commissioner Treese.
Here.
Commissioner Willie.
Here.
Commissioner Schneider.
Here.
Commissioner Fye.
Present.
Chair Harrington.
Right here. Thanks, folks, for being with us today. We have quite a few items on today's agenda, the next one being public comment. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and address the Board of Commissioners on any topic they would like. Come and share your thoughts and opinions for up to 2 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
We do, Madam Chair. We have Mary Chocolate. Mary?
Happy New Year, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. I'm Mary Halkiopoulos, a resident of Washington County for 23 years. Molly Woon, Oregon Elections Director, resigned her position effective January 14th. So far, 7 others have joined her in exiting the Secretary of State's office. Ms. Woon was appointed to her position by Shemaiah Fagan, the previous Secretary of State, who resigned for freelancing while in office with the cannabis dispensary chain, a donor to her election. Ms. Woon said she's resigning in lieu of removal by the incoming Secretary of State, but media reports cite ongoing scandals, including 1, the registration of non-citizens, which we previously discussed here. In a video released weeks before the scandal broke, Ms. Woon said, "To me, it's really unfortunate if someone is prevented from getting a ballot for any reason whatsoever. I guess the Constitution doesn't matter." 2, a questionable $500,000 donation to the Democratic Party of Oregon, DPO, by an executive from the cryptocurrency exchange, FTX. Ms. Woon, former DPO deputy director, never recused herself from oversight of that investigation, despite the conflict of interest, nor did Ms. Fagan, a donor recipient. Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum recused herself only after a deal was cut with DPO reducing their fine from $35,000 to $15,000. These are the people who have been in charge, who have told us our elections are safe and secure, and who have professed to be the sole trusted source of election information. But they have shown themselves to be untrustworthy. They break the law, certify uncertifiable elections, incur lawsuits, then move on with no seeming repercussions. As leaders in Washington County, you must take steps to ensure our elections and civil rights are no longer violated by the corruption in Salem. The players may have changed, but the system's still the same. We won't forget, give up, or go away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Is there any other person in the auditorium that wishes to provide comment for up to 2 minutes? Not seen in the room, would any member online wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes on any county-related topic? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, we'll move to the consent agenda, which consists of 10 items today, 1 set of minutes, 1 item from Clean Water Services, 1 from Emergency Management, 2 from the County Council's Office, 3 from Land Use and Transportation, 1 from Health and Human Services, and 1 from Human Resources. What are the wishes of the Commission regarding today's consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we'll move on to boards and commissions. I would like to announce vacancies and ask the commission to authorize the recruitment of applications through February 18th of this year, 2025, or until all vacancies are filled. We have a number of committees where folks offer their time and expertise to help us improve our services here in Washington County. There's the Advisory Council on Racial Equity, known as ACRE, the Aging and Veteran Services Advisory Council, the Audit Committee, the Behavioral Health Council, the Civil Service Commission, the Columbia Pacific Economic Development District, also known as COLPAC, the Developmental Disabilities Council, the Combined Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District, Urban Road Maintenance District Budget Committee, the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District ESPD Advisory Committee, the Fair Board, the Washington County Fairgrounds Development Advisory Committee, the Garbage and Recycling Advisory Committee, the Housing Advisory Committee, the Metzger Park Local Improvement District Advisory Board, the North Bethany County Service District for Roads Budget Committee, the Property Value Appeals Board, formerly BOPTA, the Public Safety Coordinating Council, also known as PSCC, the Rainbow Lane Special Road District Board, the Rural Roads Operation and Maintenance Advisory Committee, also known as ROMAC, the Urban Road Maintenance District Advisory Committee, also known as ERMDAC, the Washington County and Service District Number 1 Combined Budget Committee, and the Washington County Salary Commission. You can find a lot more information about what each of these committees does and the requirements, because they do vary. Some require residency in a specific area, some are looking for specific professional experience, but interest and in the topic is absolutely required. So you can find that information on the Washington County website, washingtoncountyor.gov. So, Commissioners, I would like for a motion to authorize the recruitment of applications.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we're going to move on to appointments for the Advisory Council on Racial Equity. We want to thank our committee members for vetting applicants and appoint Eamon Abbas and Wagner Diego Herrera Palazzi to serve on the Advisory Council on Racial Equity. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Next, pardon me?
Sorry for the side note, Chair Harrington. I was just saying Commissioner Willie was too fast for me to say second.
Next, we'll move on to public hearings. We have a couple today, and the first is to transfer the jurisdiction of a portion of Southwest Elsner Road to the City of King City as County Road. Get this, 3,355 T/J. Welcome, Stacy Shetler, our road engineer, right? Did I get that right?
County engineer, thank you.
County engineer, thank you. Take us through it, please.
Thank you for the introduction, Chair Harrington. Commissioners, congratulations to the ones that were sworn in this morning. And as the chair said, before you is the matter of transferring a portion of Elsner Road to King City. This portion of road runs from Beef Bend south to the city limits of King City. The King City has formally requested the transfer. The portion of road proposed to be transferred is within the city limits, and it's also not identified on the county's long-term jurisdiction map, which is in the transportation system plan. Therefore, the interests of the public will be maintained. The public was notified per the statutes, and there's no known opposition to this transfer at this time, but you may receive additional input at today's public hearing. So with that, I ask that your board conduct the public hearing and then approve the resolution and order transferring the portion of Elsner Road to the city of King City. Thank you.
Before we do that, do commissioners have any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to participate and share their thoughts?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting. Would any member in the auditorium wish to provide public comment on this transfer of jurisdiction, as you've heard the staff report? Not seeing anyone coming forward or raising your hand. Would any member online wish to provide public comment on this public hearing, as you've heard the staff report before you? Please utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, I'll close today's public hearing on this matter and ask for a motion to approve the resolution in order to transfer jurisdiction as covered.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Next, we'll move on to another meaty matter. And today, we have an ordinance, and we need to have this ordinance read by title only. Ms. Duke-Dreesen, could you do that, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, proposed engrossed ordinance number 897, an ordinance amending the comprehensive framework plan for the urban area, rural natural resource plan, and Bull Mountain community plan to reflect the River Terrace 2.0 urban growth boundary expansion area.
Thank you. And we'll start with a staff report. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioners, and Happy New Year. Teresa Cherniak, Principal Community Planner. Todd Borkowitz will give the presentation.
Yeah, so good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners, and welcome new Commissioner Snyder.
Yep, just wait.
Big Ben.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Todd Borkowitz, Senior Planner in Community Planning in the Department of Land Use and Transportation. This is the first of two hearings on engrossed ordinance number 897, which would formally transfer a recent Metro UGB expansion for Tigers River Terrace 2.0 from the rural area to the urban area. So as you may recall, this is the approximately 500-acre River Terrace Metro UGB expansion area. Metro Council approved this expansion through a UGB land exchange. And in May 2023, the Department of Land Conservation and Development granted final approval. So Ordinance 897 proposed to amend county planning documents to reflect this UGB expansion. The board held its first hearing on the non-engrossed ordinance on October 3rd, 2023. During that meeting, the county received testimony opposing the ordinance due to impacts on Goal 5 significant natural resources, and the board voted to continue the hearing so that staff could provide a full response to that testimony. Last January, the board continued the hearing to November 19th, 2024, to allow for completion of the update to the county's significant natural resources program. And on November 5th, the board adopted engrossed ordinances number 901 and 902, which completed the update to this program, and ordinance 897 could then move forward. On November 19th, the board directed engrossment of ordinance 897 and set hearings for January 7th, today, and on January 28th. So the recent board adoption of engrossed ordinance number 901 codified a new inventory of mapped Goal 5 resources. In part included the addition of Goal 5 resources in River Terrace 2.0 expansion area to the comprehensive framework plan for the urban area. And in October, the board adopted ordinance number 903 that in part removed parking maximums previously applied in the urban area. So adoption of engrossed ordinance 901 and 903 resulted in needed changes to this ordinance, ordinance 897, is filed to reflect the county's current comprehensive plan documents. So notice regarding engrossed ordinance 897 was mailed December 13th to parties on the general and individual notification lists and included the 2 engrossment hearing dates. So given this, we recommend that the board conduct the first of 2 public hearings for engrossed ordinance number 897, and at the conclusion of the hearing, continue the hearing to January 28th. And that concludes our presentation. We are happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Snyder.
Actually, for the county council, and I did give her a heads up about this, that I wanted to just briefly touch on this. This is a public hearing process that's been in process for more than a year and a half. I've not been present at every one of those hearings, and I wanted to confirm, given that this has been continued at least 5 or 6 times, it looks like, from the get-go about my participation in this process. Can you just clarify that real quickly for purposes of the public hearing?
Yes, Commissioner Snyder, thank you for the question. There is no legal or procedural reason that you cannot participate in today's public hearing. However, it is completely within your discretion to abstain from participation if you choose.
Thank you.
But here you are on the front end of our engrossing this A version of this ordinance. So welcome to the beginning of the engrossment. So thank you very much for the staff report. I don't see any other commissioner questions. So with that, I would like to open a public hearing for the proposed A engrossed ordinance 897. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting room. Would any member in the auditorium wish to provide public comment on this public hearing? As you've heard the staff report before you, give you just a moment to stand up, get my attention, raise hand. Not seeing anyone in the room, would any member online wish to provide public comment to this public hearing? As you've heard the staff report, give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, I will close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to continue the public hearing to date certain, January 28th, 2025, for proposed A engrossed ordinance 897.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of doing so, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. I don't believe for this continuance we need to take a roll call. Great, I'm all set on that. So we'll come back to this topic on Tuesday, January 28th. And now we are on to our sole action item for today's meeting, and that is to designate the board vice chair for this year. And that will be, drumroll, Commissioner Pam Treese. We have a standard operating procedure for rotating the vice chair selection from year to year, and now it's the District 2 opportunity. So do we have a motion to designate Commissioner Pam Treese as the vice chair for 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. And just a heads up, I will be on vacation later in February, so you will be on deck for that full Tuesday. Okay, next we have our second public comment period of today's meeting. This is an opportunity for members of our community to share their thoughts with the commission on any topic for up to 5 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
We do, Madam Chair. First up, we have John Woods and Jackie Poppin.
Start whenever you're ready, Mr. Woods.
I'll let her go first,
Okay.
and she's an old friend.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners, and Happy New Year. I'm Jackie Poppin, a resident of Washington County for 12 years. On December 12th, 2024, the Oregon House Interim Rules Committee held a post-election debrief. Participating panelists included Molly Woon, Elections Director, Rochelle Long, Klamath County Clerk and President of the Oregon Association of County Clerks, Julie Breck, Coos County Clerk, Tim Scott, Multnomah County Elections Director. While the panelists generally reported the election was relatively uneventful, they did report these issues. A 36-hour shutdown of the Secretary of State telephone system on October 17th due to the volume of complaints regarding the voters' pamphlet. 2 of the 3 bomb threats reported nationally occurred in Oregon. The Dropbox fire that occurred in Multnomah County and made national news. Unusually long lines at elections offices due to ballot issues. The need for more funding. They get a one-time infusions of funds to buy gadgets, but then there's no money to hire people to operate the gadgets. The most interesting report by far was that of Coos County Clerk, who had many voters who didn't receive their ballots. This is per her report. The mail house in Bend scanned all the ballots, and the clerk observed their arrival at the Springfield U.S. Postal Service. The ballots were mailed to voters from Springfield on Thursday, October 17th. Many received their ballots by the weekend, but on Monday, many people were starting to call. Others in their household had received ballots, but they didn't get theirs. Many with the informed delivery service received images of their ballots, but never received the actual ballots. 2%, 900, of Coos County voters were affected and never received their initial ballots. The same thing happened in the May 2024 primary. The clerk contacted the U.S. Postal Service right away during the week of October 21st because after the May primary, the U.S. Postal Service said it wouldn't happen again, but it did. The clerk met with Ms. Woon, Elections Director, and the U.S. Postal Service during the weekly calls. The U.S. Postal Service couldn't determine what the problem was or when the ballots would arrive and refused to issue a statement. U.S. Postal Service Internal Affairs said the numbers weren't big enough to investigate. even though the problem happened in 2 federal elections. Because the USPS couldn't or wouldn't get to the source of the problem, there was no guarantee it won't happen again. The clerk was very clear she wants to see a better tracking process once the ballots leave the Springfield facility. Ms. Woon said ballots were dropped off in Springfield and then were sent to Portland. She said, quote, "These ballots are going all over the place in terms of the processing distances," unquote. Ms. Woon concurred the U.S. Postal Service doesn't see what the problem is. It's a conundrum. There needs to be an investigation in the next couple of months before the next election. Whether she realized what she was saying or not, the Coos County Clerk request for a better tracking process was a request for chain of custody. As we have discussed in previous presentations, chain of custody is a necessary component of a trustworthy election. Despite all the issues the Coos County Clerk faced, it appears to be politically incorrect to say anything negative about vote by mail. So her assessment was, quote, "It's not a vote by mail issue. It's a U.S. Postal Service issue," unquote. Isn't the U.S. Postal Service the mail component of vote by mail? Washington County experienced unusual long lines during the general election as well. We heard many reports of people not receiving their ballots. Rebecca Zirkle, a Washington County citizen, testified to this board directly on November 5th, 2024, a similar story. Neither she nor her mother received their initial ballots mailed October 16th. They received replacement ballots on November 1st. The vote-by-mail system is failing fast and has turned into a fiasco, which is affecting the rights of our citizens. You can either choose to be ahead of or lead the curve or be swallowed by the wave.
Thank you, Ms. Popham. I'd like to suggest that if you haven't yet done so, to please share your written testimony to each of our U.S. senators.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Woods.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. My name is John Woods. I was asked to read this article. This is one of 11 articles that were going up on American Thinker and other national blogs about the elections in Oregon. Attestation of bizarre way to run elections. In the 2024 election cycle in Oregon, we have seen a total failure of any sense of fair, transparent, honest elections. We have a system that relies on self-attestation to provide election security. According to different sources, we have somewhere around 20 million illegal aliens in this country who have crossed the border, breaking the laws of the United States. Yet in Oregon, the Secretary of State, DMV officials, and all those involved in Oregon elections, like county clerks, expect these illegal immigrants to tell the truth about citizenship, register to vote, or vote without proving who they are. It now appears the self-attestation in Oregon is a total failure. As the number of illegals registering in our election continues to rise, so far they have identified 62,949 illegals who have registered at the DMV in Oregon elections, and that doesn't include the voters portal. And all of these registered people get a ballot. So the number who voted in the 2024 election is unknown. Nobody can tell us. We have some races in Oregon that were supposedly decided by less than 200 votes. So let's ask the question. With thousands of votes already identified as illegal and many more suspected, how do you certify an election without a fully transparent public bipartisan audit? There is no minimizing the damage illegal voting has done to Oregon. There is no slapping a bandage on this. Oregons of all party affiliations should be demanding open public results. For us, for the Democrats, for whoever. Anything less is criminal. The federal government should consider the Oregon state government a rogue unelected body until all public audits are complete. Federal money and resources should be contingent on Oregon proving that the people in the government were the people's choice. Oregon has some choices to make in the coming months and years. Fix the elections, use real identification techniques to provide security and transparency, or be on a list of unverified, unelected politicians with no provable evidence they won the election. We rely on honest elections to put into office the people's choices. Without that assurance, we are living in a power-hungry criminal territory where laws mean nothing and elections are just corrupt kabuki theater plays. We all want others to deal with us truthfully. We don't want to be lied to or played the fool. This desire for truth should lead to transparent elections in governments elected through the people's choice and votes. If any government official or bureaucrat attempts to subvert this simple objective, then they should be seen as suspect and investigated because they are not advocates for the citizens. They are operatives for the people trying to grasp or maintain power. If they are proven to be working against fair, open government, they should be removed immediately. Now, I know this is very harsh. This went up on a national blog. We've had a lot of things. I've had a number of other people, and this article has gone viral all over the internet. We need to fix this problem in Oregon. We need to fix this problem in the county here. We have officials in the state who have certified an election with over 62,000 illegals. We don't know who voted here. So the federal government is looking at it. Stephen Miller has sent a letter to the Oregon governor, the Oregon Attorney General, and the Secretary of State saying that they want to know who the illegals are, who they voted for, how they voted, and how many have voted. We have a voters portal. I have a friend who nationally got somebody in Australia to log into the voters portal. They were able to get a ballot from Australia without proving citizenship. How does this happen? Let's get together. Let's make it work so that both parties know 100% that we made the right choices for the people who were elected. You can't stand and say you were elected if you can't prove it. Bottom line, we got to fix this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone else?
Yes, we do. Next two we have is Sandra Nelson and Jill Latreille, followed by Bob Terry.
Go ahead, Ms. Nelson.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Happy New Year. My name's Sandra Nelson. I've been a resident of Washington County for 40 years. I recently read a fascinating little book by Matthew Truella called The Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates, A Proper Resistance to Tyranny and a Repudiation of Unlimited Obedience to Civil Government. That sounds like a somewhat intimidating, alarming subject, but it's this kind of resistance that birthed the United States of America and brought to the world, quote, a new nation conceived in liberty, unquote, President Lincoln's famous words in his Gettysburg Address. This book is about you, lesser magistrates under the higher state authority, but I'd like to begin as the book begins with a short story. In AD 39, Publius Petronius, who was the Roman governor of Syria and Palestine, received an order from his superior, Caligula, the emperor of Rome. Caligula, who was convinced of his own divinity, ordered Petronius to assemble half his army and install an image of himself in the Jewish temple at Jerusalem. Petronius had the statue of the emperor made in Sidon and prepared his troops while he wintered in Ptolemais. To the Jews, a statue of the emperor in the temple was a severe affront to their religion. The Jews therefore sent numerous delegations during this time to protest before the governor concerning the law of the emperor. Petronius was so deeply moved by the reasoning of their protests that he wrote to Caligula that he would not enforce his order and entreated the emperor to annul it. When Emperor Caligula received the letter from Governor Petronius, he became outraged and ordered Petronius to commit suicide. Soon after, however, Caligula was assassinated by his Praetorian guards. Fortunately for Petronius, the ship carrying the order for him to commit suicide arrived after the ship carrying the news of the emperor's assassination. The statue never was placed in the temple. Though Governor Petronius would not have known it as such, he was practicing the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. The lesser magistrate doctrine declares that when the superior or higher civil authority makes unjust, immoral laws or decrees, the lesser or lower ranking civil authority has both a right and duty to refuse obedience to that superior authority, unquote. The obvious first questions are, what is an unjust law and who determines that? Writing from the Birmingham jail, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, quote, "The answer lies in the fact that there are two types of laws, just and unjust. I would be the first to advocate obeying just laws. One has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. I would agree with St. Augustine that an unjust law is no law at all." Now, what is the difference between the two? How does one determine whether a law is just or unjust? A just law is a man-made code that squares with the moral law or the law of God. An unjust law is a code that is out of harmony with the moral law. To put it in the terms of St. Thomas Aquinas, an unjust law is a human law that is not rooted in eternal law and natural law, unquote. Earlier, a few weeks ago, you heard a litany of the unjust election laws passed by our state legislature that provide greater opportunities for fraud and cover-up. Besides certain legislators, very few others support lack of transparency and security in our elections. We are asking you, as lesser magistrates, to use your God-given right and duty to interpose on behalf of the people. That is, to place yourselves between the unjust laws of the higher authority and the people, between the oppressors and their intended victims. The people are victims, because without fair and valid elections, we lose our government and our freedom. You can help restore our freedom by working with us to create just election laws for Washington County, laws that will inspire the people to once again trust their election system. I see I'm out of time.
Thank you. Wrap up.
Sorry
please.
about that. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Happy New Year. My name is Jill Latreille, and I've been a Washington County resident for over 33 years. In regards to the upcoming January 21st work session with the Washington County Elections Office, we have a list of questions we would like you to ask on our behalf, as we may only observe and not have any dialogue during the session. Please note this is only a small sample of the questions we have. We again request a work session with you or your staff to address our findings and discuss potential solutions. Who is responsible for maintaining Washington County's voter rolls? Did the Washington County Election Office staff verify the eligibility and citizenship of each voter in the November 5th, 2024 election, including the Uwakava voters, and if so, by what means? Do you accept and count ballots from the USPS that aren't postmarked? Why were there unprecedented long lines at the Washington County Election Office, often 40 feet out of the door, the last several days of the November 5th, 2024 election? How many Washington County voters reported not receiving their ballot in the mail for the November 5th, 2024 election? Were one or both sorters inoperable on election night? How did this sorter breakdown affect your ability to count ballots received on election night? Please explain the reason for the repeat of the second and final logic and accuracy test on Monday, December 2nd, after the original second and final logic and accuracy test was performed on Friday, November 29th? Can you account for the additional 584 more ballots and 833 fewer voters that were reported on December 2nd as compared to the numbers available prior to the logic and accuracy test that took place on November 29th? These final numbers do not align with the information provided, that a box of 480 ballots was rescanned for having 100 ballots fewer than previously reported. While the ballot count may increase somewhat due to curing, citizen observation during the curing period cannot explain this volume of increase in the number of ballots. Why was the election certified at 9:04 a.m. on Monday, December 2nd, while the final logic and accuracy test was still in progress, which began at 8:30 a.m. on Monday, December 2nd? Once again, we hope that you will ask these questions, and we continue to request the opportunity to have a discussion with you or your staff. Thank you.
Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to testify today?
Yes, we have Bob Terry.
And after that, we'll check online.
Well, good morning, Commissioners and Chair, and I hope you've all had a Happy New Year. And congratulations, Mr. Snyder, for joining the Commission. It's good to see you. I will make a comment that the last time I seen anybody that big, sit that high on the Commission was the two commissioners prior to our current chair. And Tom Bryan, if you knew Tom, is a big man. So you look well and fill those shoes well. Thank you. So, well, Happy New Year to you all. I don't have anything to present to you this morning because you have it all on tape, and what I'm going to say to you is coming from my heart. We have been now coming before you for almost more than 4 months, or right at 4 months. We've been purposely and intentionally tried to provide you with information of education and information of things that may be going on behind the community scene that you would not normally see. We hope you learned something from that. We have worked hard, and I think that you would all have to agree that everything we've provided to you has been researched, well documented, and well presented to you for educational purposes, and hoping that you will take some kind of action as you can through your home rule. I don't know if council has looked into home rule and at any kind of a depth, but we will be presenting some more information to you on that this year. We're going to take a new direction. Remind you that all of us, or most of us who are coming before you, are elected citizens ourselves from our districts in your area and in your districts. And I congratulate you, Jason Snyder, again on the fact that the comments this morning came out of your district, and I know that district as well as I knew Mr. Willie's district and the county in general. And I hope the roads that those areas you took in there this morning will be developed all the way from Cornelius Pass Road all the way out to Shoals Ferry and on beyond, perhaps to the river and on over to Beef Bend Road, which has been planned for a long time. And our county needs that kind of transportation throughout, both particularly in the east and west and in the north and south. I know you have some budget issues that you're all wrestling with and dealing with that fortunately we didn't have to because of the way it was managed in the past. Sorry that we lost the Intel support from the state this year, and I know you tried to work on it, but it didn't quite come out. Beyond that, the information we presented to you, I hope you understand that a lot of our problem comes from the U.S. Postal Services, a lot of it, because we have no control over it. And it's very hard for us to manage that and get them to make certain that our ballots are delivered in both directions the way they should be and as they should be. We have no control over that. That's one of the fallacies of the system, why it will never work, because it has it is one area we cannot trace, even though electronically it should be allowed to and be able to, but they don't seem to have the interest in doing that. So we hope that you will understand that we do need to bring our voting, which is the most precious thing we have in our free society, back to our county and under our county control where we can watch it and manage it closely. It's something that I don't feel in my heart that some of you sitting on the commission, leading in the commission, have taken that seriously and to heart as to the seriousness that it is and the problems that we have discovered. We have worked inside of your organization, and unbeknownst to many of you, and know what's going on there, probably more so than some of you do. And I will tell you, we are looking forward to the meeting you're having later on this month. We are providing information to you, some questions that we hope that you will ask, because it would help you as well as us. If not, we will continue our work anyway. But working together, we can do a lot and can accomplish a lot in the area of the security of our voting and the seriousness of our voting. Again, I reiterate in my few seconds that are left, we have directed things not towards individuals, but towards education and the benefit of you by design. We are a group of citizens working together. We have offered before to work with you and work with your staff in the areas of knowledge that we have obtained and that we are very good at and very thorough with. And I think that your people who are staff in your elections area particularly know that we are. And so we hope to continue to work together and work closer together than what we have in the past to accomplish something for all of our citizens of this county. It's important that we work for it. It is the one precious thing we have in our free society is our vote and the right to choose our leaders. With that, I wish you all a very happy new year, and thank you very much for your time and working together today. And I will see you later at a farewell for Mr. Rogers. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone online who wishes to testify today?
Yes, Madam Chair, I will make that call right now. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment for up to 5 minutes on any county-related topic? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, we'll move on to board announcements, and I'll kick it off with announcements of upcoming meetings. This Thursday, January 9th, we'll have our monthly roundtable starting at 9. Next Tuesday, January 14th, we'll have a work session starting at 9, continuing throughout the day. Wednesday, January 15th, we're having a special meeting. This is a joint meeting between the Washington County Board of Commissioners and the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners to do an appointment for the State House District 34 seat. That meeting will be a virtual-only meeting starting at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, January 16th, we have a roundtable starting at 9. Then on Tuesday, January 21st, we'll have a work session that starts at 9 and will continue later after we have a board meeting at 10 a.m. On Tuesday, January 28th, we'll have our afternoon work session at 2 p.m., followed by evening meetings for the Housing Authority Board of Directors starting at 6:30, and then immediately following that, we'll have the Board of Commissioners meeting. On Tuesday, February 4th, yes, blink of an eye, the month of January goes by fast, we'll have a work session starting at 9, followed by a Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting at 10 a.m. with the board meeting to follow, and we'll reconvene in work session again after that. On Friday, February 7th, we'll have a Clean Water Services Board of Directors training day, learning day, starting at 9 a.m. On Tuesday, February 11th is a work session only day starting at 9. And then on Thursday, February 13th, we'll have a roundtable starting at 9 a.m. And that's a list of upcoming meetings. Are there any other board announcements from the commission today? Seeing none, I'd like to ask, before I ask for a motion to adjourn today's business meeting, we will be moving back into work session, but first we're going to have 2 executive sessions. So I'd like to ask for motions to start those. The first is a motion to go to executive session as the Clean Water Services Board of Directors pursuant to ORS 192.660 sub 2, sub F, and sub H for the purposes of discussing exempt records and potential litigation.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. The motion passed unanimously 5-0. And then following that, we'll have an executive session as the Washington County Board of Commissioners pursuant to ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub H for the purposes of discussing potential litigation. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, and I'll make necessary announcements as we convene in those. The first one in about 10 minutes at, let's say, 11:15, because we have some tech and whatnot that needs to be set up. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn this business meeting for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. We are hereby adjourned.